It was a Wednesday when they arrived. There was nothing particularly special about the day, except maybe for the fact that it marked the end of humanity's reign as the dominant species on Earth. At least, that's what the invaders thought. They descended in vast silver ships, blotting out the sky in cities all over the world. They didn't come with bright beams of destruction or booming threats. No, the first attack was more subtle, almost clinical. Communication systems failed, power grids short-circuited, and every satellite above Earth went dark. The world was silenced in a coordinated, global blackout. People panicked, of course. It's what we do when the unknown crashes into the comfortable routine of everyday life. Phones, cars, even flashlights, all rendered useless. It was as if the fabric of human civilization unraveled overnight. But we didn't know then that this was just the prelude. In the days that followed, the aliens revealed themselves. Towering, insectoid creatures with chitinous armor and eyes like obsidian orbs. They were called the Jari, and they had studied us for centuries. They knew our weaknesses, our frailty, our divisions. Or at least, they thought they did. When the Jari spoke, it wasn't with words. Their voices entered the minds of every person on Earth simultaneously, a low hum that vibrated in our skulls, resonating with a terrifying certainty. You are a primitive species, they declared, born to serve a higher order. Surrender, and you will be spared. Resist, and you will be exterminated. There was no unified global response. No president, prime minister, or military general giving a brave speech. No armies mobilizing to fight back. Our systems were too fractured, too confused by the scale of the attack. But humanity didn't need a global strategy to fight back. All it took was a spark. In a quiet neighborhood in rural Montana, retired Marine Sergeant Jack Matthews looked up at the hulking spacecraft hanging over his small farm like a monolithic storm cloud. He'd seen combat before, Afghanistan, Iraq, but nothing like this. His wife, Lisa, sat next to him on the porch, their young daughter tucked under her arm. "They're wrong, you know," Lisa said, her voice soft but edged with steel. "About what?" Jack asked, though he knew the answer. "About us." The first human resistance came from isolated pockets. Farmers with hunting rifles, survivalists hidden deep in the woods, and old veterans like Jack Matthews who had the spirit of defiance carved into their bones. They weren't soldiers anymore, but they knew how to survive, how to fight when cornered. Jack didn't need orders to know what to do. He gathered the neighbors, people he'd known all his life, and they began to prepare. While the Jari established their foothold in the cities, enslaving and exterminating, rural America, quiet, overlooked, and underestimated, started a guerrilla war. It wasn't just in America either. The resistance grew like wildfire across the globe, from the deserts of Australia to the mountains of Peru. In the cities, people fought back with whatever they had, Molotov cocktails, makeshift explosives, blunt objects. The Jari had disabled our technology, but they underestimated something crucial about humanity: we adapt. In the aftermath of the first Jari assault, the invaders expected humanity to buckle and submit. What they hadn't accounted for was our unyielding stubbornness. The first time a group of ragtag rebels brought down one of their walkers, a three-legged monstrosity towering over 100 feet tall, it wasn't with military-grade weapons. It was a group of kids who had rigged a construction crane with dynamite. When the massive alien machine toppled in the heart of Paris, it was a signal. Across the world, people realized one simple truth: the Jari weren't invincible. Weeks turned into months, and humanity's resolve hardened. With no way to communicate on a global scale, we relied on what we had: old shortwave radios, messenger pigeons, even handwritten notes. Entire regions went dark under Jari control, but others fought back fiercely, adapting to the alien tactics, learning their weaknesses. It wasn't long before scientists, working in basements and bombed-out labs, started studying the captured alien tech. They didn't need vast resources or laboratories. Just a couple of sharp minds and some determination. Human ingenuity is its own kind of weapon. The Jari had not planned for this. In their long history of galactic conquest, they had never faced a species so chaotic, so unpredictable. Each of their victories in the past had come through calculated dominance. But humanity wasn't following their playbook. Jack's small group in Montana grew from a few families into a well-organized militia. They learned how to move undetected, how to use the Jari's own technology against them, and how to strike where it hurt. When the local resistance leader was killed in a Jari raid, Jack stepped up to fill the gap. He led them on hit-and-run raids, sabotaging supply lines, setting traps, and rescuing captured humans from Jari work camps. The aliens might have been technologically superior, but they didn't understand the fierce loyalty that tied humans together. The Jari learned the hard way that humans never fought alone. For every person who fell, 10 more stood up. The turning point came during the Battle of Tokyo. The Jari had concentrated their forces there, thinking that if they could break the last pockets of human resistance in Asia, the rest would fall. But the humans fighting in the ruined city were unlike anything they'd seen before. The survivors had banded together, combining the tactical precision of soldiers with the reckless determination of civilians who had nothing left to lose. It was in Tokyo that a team of rogue scientists unveiled the first weapon reverse-engineered from Jari technology. It was a crude, shoulder-mounted launcher that fired pulses of energy capable of disabling the alien shields. The first test of the weapon was against a towering Jari walker in the Shinjuku district. The shot pierced its defenses, and the massive machine crumbled to the ground in a blaze of fire and smoke. Tokyo became a symbol of resistance. Across the globe, underground networks of hackers and engineers shared the plans for the new weapon. In secret workshops and hidden bunkers, humans built these alien pulse launchers. Soon, the Jari couldn't walk anywhere on Earth without the constant fear of being ambushed. The Jari, once so confident, were now on the defensive. They couldn't comprehend the fury of the species they were trying to subdue. Each time they tried to crush one rebellion, 2 more rose up in its place. They couldn't understand how a species so fragmented, so disorganized, could continue to resist with such tenacity. For humanity, it wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about freedom. It was about proving that no matter how advanced, how powerful an enemy might seem, they could never break the human spirit. In the final months of the war, the Jari made one last desperate move. Their flagship, the size of a small moon, descended into Earth's atmosphere, hovering above Washington, D.C. They broadcasted their ultimatum one last time. Submit, or be annihilated. Jack Matthews stood with his militia, watching the alien ship fill the sky. Around him were men and women who had fought alongside him, who had lost everything but refused to give up. He picked up the pulse launcher they had built from scrap and alien tech, slung it over his shoulder, and smiled. "Annihilation it is, then," he muttered. And with a single shot, humanity answered the call. The war wasn't won in a day, but it was the moment the Jari knew they had lost. They had come to conquer, but they had forgotten the most important thing. Humans? We don't just survive. We fight back. And we win. That's the thing about Earth, about humanity. We're not the strongest, we're not the smartest, but when you push us to the brink, we become something else entirely. Something the Jari never expected.